What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So now I want to look at the heavyweight landscape and break a few things down. Now, for starters, let's look at Dillian White and Povetkin's situation. So, as we all know, Dillian White was the number one contender for a long time, long time. Okay, we was even told that he was mandatory, which later on Mauricio Suleiman a while after that said, well, that wasn't true, and being a number one contender does not make you mandatory. Well, we are aware of that, but I do remember it being said and him having an interview saying that he was mandatory um, for the WBC strap. And all of a sudden, he keep getting these different challenges, and it's like if you beat this guy, then you're mandatory. If you beat this guy, so it was like, what do you like? Why is Dylan having to have all these fights? Like, I mean, come on. Was Dominic Brazil more deserving than Dillian White? You know, was Berman Stavern more deserving than Dillian White? Okay, so let's fast forward to now with Dillian White. Well, you know, Dillian White's situation was if he was to beat Povetkin, then he was next in line to fight Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder if they was to fight, and then the winner would fight him. Okay, so we know what happened. He lost that fight. Wilder and Fury never did get it on, and so we was told different things. We was told that the fight was pushed back because Deontay had to get a surgery. We was told that the fight was pushed back because the networks, you know, they didn't want that fight. Now, this is something that a lot of people overlook. Just because you hold a championship title does not make you a popular fighter. Now, we know Deontay Wilder, now in America, he's the champion. He was the heavyweight champion. And in America, Deontay Wilder is not a popular fighter. You know, he doesn't draw. Some fighters have that presence that they'll get a lot of views because they're fighting, but most fighters, they need to have that dance partner with them that, okay, that's a good fight. Now, Bob Arum spoke about it as well. And then if you listen to Shelly Finkel, Eddie Hearn, these guys tell you these things. Most people don't really care what they have to say unless they're talking about a particular potential fight. But at the same time, it's like they're breaking down to you what's going on, why they don't want this fight, why they're trying to push this fight back. And also, we do know too that the fight was Fury and Wilder is a big fight. Even though it's networks are going, no, some of the they didn't want that fight, and Bob Arum explained that. But they were trying to get that fight done in front of a crowd, just like with AJ. If he's the fight Fury or Wilder, same thing. If he's the fight White, they want that in front of a crowd. Okay, and AJ, you know, in the UK, and not just the UK, people have grown to know him, and back in the UK, he's king. Okay, AJ can draw. A fight between him and White would more than likely take place on British soil anyway, or maybe somewhere else as well. Probably not in America, and it doesn't have to. But the thing about it is, with those fights that we're not seeing, it's not so much. A lot of it, like I've said in previous videos, a lot of it has to do with we don't want this fight to happen in front of an empty crowd, in an empty arena with no crowd. So when you break down who's who right now, at some point, if these fights don't happen, you're gonna have a lot of young fighters coming up, 20-0, 25-0. Like, who is this guy? And a lot of times, see, casuals, if they don't know who you are, they won't even tune in. They're just like that. You know how boxing is when you look at a boxing event, and if they have 5 fights, the building is half empty for the first 3. You know, if it's a co-main event, then okay, that's one thing. But if it's just like next is the main event, that's where they kind of start to come settle in a little bit. And when they pan the crowd during the rounds, you see that like people sitting on cell phones and they're not even paying attention to the guys in the ring. So we need for fights to happen, but at the same time, there's a lot of money being lost because of not having a live gate. And so there's fights that's not going to happen. That's going to keep getting pushed back. Now, if we look at the situation surrounding Dillian White, it's a risk. He doesn't have an opponent right now. Povetkin, as we know, tested positive for COVID. Wishing him a speedy recovery. But I also heard rumors that him and Derek Chisora was going to fight for a third time. Derek said, "Hey, I'll step in and fight him." Okay. Derek has something to prove after losing to Usyk. He lost to Dillian, and he wants to get his revenge. Dillian's in a position where he's not obligated. He can just sit this one out. Now, a lot of people probably would say, "Nah, go ahead and fight." And if that's what he chooses to do, hey, so be it. I personally think he should sit this one out because the fight with Povetkin has been pushed back to January. Just a couple of months, that's all. Just keep going. Train. Do what you have to do. Stay focused. And because if he slips up, especially when you've been focused, and understand, because he got knocked out, especially, he has something to prove as well. Derek Chisora has something to prove, period, with himself that, hey, I'm still here, I still got it. Because like he said, he's not retiring. Dillian wants to come back and get his revenge, and he want to get that spot back, so he's mandatory. He could slip up and lose. Now, looking at Derek Chisora in his last fight, he looked really slow. And personally, I think Dillian White should be able to beat Derek Chisora again. But things happen. And if he loses again, that mandatory spot is gone. And he's back where he started. Actually, he's two steps back from where he started in that situation. So, there's fights we want to see. How soon we see them, we don't know. Now, I heard Joseph Parker has a fight coming up, and that was a while ago. And I haven't heard anything else. So, I don't know the date on that fight. I don't have a lot of information on that fight. But we need all of these guys. Charles Martin, the Adam Kalnakis, guys that we need these guys to fight. It's like so much time in between these guys fighting that it's like some guys are fighting like once a year. And, we need for these guys to fight. The interest has to still be there. Because right now in the heavyweight division, it's just a lot of talking. And it's the guys who's not that popular. They're the ones who continue to fight and nobody's talking about them. So, then you have this situation too. You have fighters that you can't price this. People, a lot of times people try to overprice themselves. Okay? And what people got to understand. Now, I understand any fighter trying to get as much money as they can. But understand something about boxing too. It's a business. And if you're not a draw, if you're a fighter that when you fight, people are going, "Oh, he fought? Oh, I didn't know that." And you're trying to get X amount of millions of dollars and it's like, you can't be greedy. You have to understand, look, you have to earn your spot. Now it's like everybody want to be the A side just because they think they are. When I look at right now, take a guy like Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz, he shined, he beat AJ. Rematch, AJ shined, he beat Ruiz. Ruiz just disappears. And the only thing we hear about Ruiz is Ruiz back in training. And then you see some Photoshop picture, because I've seen a picture where he had a six-pack and he was all swole. It's like, no, hell no. No, that's not no Andy goddamn Ruiz. Then all of a sudden, you see Ruiz, he still looks the same. Then you hear, ever since he split from his trainer, on top of that, it's all just talk. It's his hunger still there. Is what happens. When he won the title, he was taking, doing photo shoots, sitting in front of his new car, taking photos and more photos. And, it's beautiful that he was able to buy his mom a new house and do all these things and all. But maybe he got a taste of that life and it's like, you know what? That hunger is just not the same. Because if you're not going to train and understand, you know what? There's a lot more that where that came from. I need to be on top of my game. I need to be in top shape. I need to get focused and stay focused. I don't see that Ruiz, Luis Ortiz. I heard he has a fight coming up. Then I heard no more about that conversation about who he's fighting and when he's fighting. So I don't know what's going on with him. Um, it's just not a whole lot going on with the heavyweight division with the guys that we know. And the guys that we don't know, nobody's that's less known. Nobody's really talking about these guys. You know, Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce. We know that their fight is coming up. And in all honesty, I like both of them as fighters. Personally, I think Daniel Dubois, people are not understanding his ability because of who he's fought. And oh, he doesn't have the names. He doesn't. Yeah, well, you have to start. Got to crawl before you can walk. Looking at his ability alone, just like when I said Teofimo Lopez could beat Lomachenko, and people, nah, I don't. Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. If Lomachenko would have won, he would have won. I'm not sitting here telling you. I'm not making a prediction and this is going to happen. Like, oh, it's a fact. It's going to happen. I'm just saying I saw something in Lopez that other people didn't see. And the same way with Daniel Dubois. I think that he's going to beat Joe Joyce badly. And I think that a lot of fighters don't want to fight Daniel Dubois. And I think that if he stays focused and hungry, he's going to be that next big thing in the heavyweight division. Now, we'll see how it plays out. But we need for these guys to fight because we keep having these dry spells, man. And then when they do fight, we don't want to see them go in there and fight somebody just, But then again, certain guys like Tyson Fury, for example, he's fighting the guy December the 5th to stay active. Now, my thing is, we know that the contract expired between him and Wilder. And now, Wilder, for him to say he wants to sue him and saying that he's ready for the fight, you had to be ready a long time ago because you didn't just get a major surgery on your bicep and all of a sudden you're going to be ready by December the 19th. So what I'm saying is, okay, Tyson Fury's fight is official. He's fighting December the 5th. Unless something happens and it gets canceled, like the fighter pulls out, he gets hurt or something like that. But other than that, the fight is on. So my thing is, I'm like, okay, Wilder needs to come back and make a statement, right? Well, if you're ready, then why don't you honor that date on December the 19th against somebody else, since Tyson Fury already has a fight? And what better statement to say, hey, I'm back. Come back, knock somebody out. Guess what? Now the talks are even back again. There's more interest. A lot of people that want to see Fury and Wilder is split with this right here. These two things. One, people want to see Tyson Fury destroy Deontay Wilder once and for all and shut up all this nonsense about Glovegate and all this. This guy cheated. He can't beat me fair and square. Then you have the other side, where people want to see him obliterate Tyson Fury because they feel like Tyson Fury cheated. Okay? There's very little middle ground with anything else in that particular fight, for the most part. You might find people here and there, but honestly, the middle ground that I see most of is, like myself included, I'm just not interested in a third fight between the two of them. But I can understand if it happens, and if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think it's like, look, if you're ready to go by December 19th, now you know for a fact Tyson Fury is fighting on December the 5th. No, Tyson Fury is not going to be stripped. Okay? Nothing's going to happen. The contract expired. He's not going to be sued. What's going to happen then? That just means Deontay Wilder, since the fight 8 months ago, he has no opponent. He's not in the ring to fight. Okay, we haven't seen any training videos of Deontay. We haven't heard anything. And when you're training, what do? You start promoting your fight. So I don't even believe he's in fight shape, to be honest with you. Because think about this. It was afterwards. It was after the fact that Tyson Fury announced his fight on December the 5th when Deontay decided he wanted to come out and make that little cryptic video, right? And he's saying if he doesn't honor the fight, right, and fight on the 19th, then he's going to be sued. He's going to sue him. Well, first off, the contract expired, so I don't, good luck with that. But at the same time, my point, if you're in fight shape and you're ready to go, And you already see he has the green light to fight. Nothing's going to happen. And Mauricio Sulaiman sat right there and said there's nothing slating these guys from fighting each other or for either guy to fight another opponent. So no, there'll be no lawsuit. I mean, you can waste your time going to court. I mean, you do what you feel like you have to do. But I feel like if you're ready to go, show everybody. Because I know I've never in my life seen a fight happen where, especially two fighters like world champions that, where they're not promoting the fight. You in the gym. You have, people come, they watch, and even to not have people come in because of COVID, I get all that, but I mean, even just to have somebody in there to record some of your sessions and some of what you're doing, even to promote the fight, there was none of that. So I don't even think he's in fight shape, to be honest with you. He said out of his own mouth, he said, to be honest with you, I haven't even been training. So how in the hell are you going to be ready for the 19th? So if you are ready, show the world. Let everybody see, hey, make a statement. You come back, you do what you got to do, and then guess what? You guys renew your contract or get a new one or whatever you got to do and get it on. But why just sit in the sidelines and wait and wait and wait? So you hear all of these, comments where people are saying they think Deontay, he's finished. They think he's going to retire. All these things are being said. And pretty much, now all we're hearing about is a lawsuit for the third fight not happening. Not even, and here's the crazy part, right? And this is confirmed, okay, by his own words. He's not even suing for Glovegate. He's not suing for none of those allegations. His so-called lawsuit is based on the fact that, oh, you didn't honor the contract. So Fury's not pulling out of his fight. He's not worried or concerned about that. So, focus on getting what you got to do, then have your day in court later. Because if you did all this training and you're in fight shape just to let it go, what is that? What is that? So if you're walking around with the victim mindset, I'm a victim here, I'm a victim, and you're not going to go in there and display your skills, you can't blame nobody, for that other than yourself. So we know AJ has Pulev coming out. Now, there was a rumor that the fight may have been, that Charles Martin was stepping up to fill in for Pulev. And, I didn't do an actual video on it. I just did a post where, I mentioned about him pulling out because that's what I was told. That's what I saw on the internet. So I said possibly. Because from, as what I'm hearing now, the fight between AJ and Pulev is on. Usyk just beat Chisora. So he's in the clear. He sits back, he waits to see what happens between AJ and Pulev. And then, that should be the next fight after AJ and Pulev would be AJ versus Usyk should he get past Pulev. Okay, now, pretty much looking at the guys that we really know of in the heavyweight division, the less active these guys are, the more it's hurting the division. And the younger guys need their push, but outside of the Joseph Parker, Dillian White, Tyson Fury, AJ, Wilder, outside of those guys, nobody's really making too much noise. I mean, F.A. Njaba, he gets a little recognition. Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce, those would probably be the top two outside of the known guys. You have Huey Fury, there's other names, Hellenius, Lucas Brown, Kalnaki, but I mean, not anybody that is considered a superstar. Not anybody that people get excited about to talk about. They want to see these guys fight. And we need for these fights to happen. We need for people to be more active. So even if a guy takes a lesser opponent just to keep active because certain fights are not falling through because they don't want to have it in front of, in an empty arena. I mean, COVID is killing a lot, man. It's causing a lot of setbacks. But we need to get back on track. And the heavyweight division, it's the same core guys that's carrying the torch right now. So we'll see how things play out. And we need for these guys to be more active. See how things happen. But look, never fall in love with lies. And remember, the truth brings hate out of people. That's all I'm going to say on this video. I will catch y'all on the next one.